What if Ferrari's biggest weakness last season becomes their biggest weapon in 2026? Something feels different. You and I need to talk about Ferrari, because if you've been watching Bahrain Testing closely and you remember what happened last season, there's a story starting to form. Last year, Ferrari were constantly told to lift and coast. Fans hated it. Drivers were frustrated. Commentators called it a weakness. But what if that weakness quietly prepared Ferrari for what Formula One is becoming? Because the uncomfortable truth is this: in 2026, every team may be forced to drive the way Ferrari already had to in 2025. Quick one before we go deeper. If you like Formula One analysis that doesn't focus on the obvious, seeing the stories behind the stories, then make sure you're following this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Channel links are in the description below. What actually happened last year? Ferrari didn't lift and coast because they wanted to. They did it because they had to. Throughout last season, Ferrari drivers were repeatedly instructed to manage energy, manage tyres, manage plank wear, lap after lap. It became a theme, a visible limitation on the car, and at times a genuine frustration for both Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. On the radio, you could hear it. The car needed managing constantly. At the time, it was seen as a flaw in the package, a compromise, something Ferrari needed to fix. But here's the part that matters now. Ferrari spent an entire season managing energy across race distance, corner by corner, lap by lap. And that kind of experience builds something teams can't simulate easily: instinct. Why 2026 changes everything? Well, here's the uncomfortable truth about the new era of Formula One. In 2026, energy management won't be optional. It will be central. Drivers need to lift and coast more, manage deployment more carefully, balance efficiency and performance across every stint. Multiple drivers have already hinted that these new cars demand more discipline, not less, more thinking, more management, more consistency. So ask yourself this: if every team now has to learn to manage energy across a race, which team already lived that reality for an entire season? Yeah, Ferrari. The unintended advantage Ferrari didn't set out to train for in 2026, but they may have done exactly that. Think about what they gained last year. Drivers who became conditioned to lift and coast under pressure, even against their own will. Engineers who collected real race distance energy data from these races. Strategists who learned how to manage constrained performance. Simulation teams fed with real-world behavior, not theory. While other teams were driving flat out, Ferrari were learning how to manage. And in a regulation era where management becomes everything, that experience might matter more than we actually think. Now, there's no confirmed evidence Ferrari planned this deliberately. Let me be very clear about that. But in Formula One, unintended preparation can still become real advantage. So what to watch in Bahrain over days 4, 5, and 6? If Ferrari really are ahead of the curve, you'll see it over the next few days of testing. There are 3 things Ferrari fans, and actually all fans, need to watch closely. First, long-run consistency. Not headline lap times, not the fastest. Just watch how calm Ferrari looks across full race simulations. See if they're making minimal corrections, not major corrections. We want to look for stable pace, setting similar lap times, clean tyre behaviour. Now that might be a little difficult to see, but it is a measure. Second, we want to look at the energy behaviour. Watch how little Ferrari appear to fight the car when managing. See how they get their smooth exits, predictable deployment. So we're watching them as they are heading down straights, coming into corners, and this will all come through in their lap times. Third, the driver's language. Even though they're not spending a lot of time talking to the media about things, listen to what they're saying. Comfort sounds very different to optimism. If they talk about understanding rather than potential, that's a very, very strong signal. If Ferrari look almost bored at testing, then I'll take that as actually a very good sign that they already know how they want to start this season. But there is a counterpoint. Now, here's the reality check. Last year's lift and coast wasn't a master plan. It was a necessity. Other teams will quickly adapt to this, and experience alone doesn't guarantee performance. Ferrari still have to execute. They still need outright pace. They still need reliability. Preparation only becomes advantage when execution follows. So they need to get race strategy correct. Ferrari may have spent last season fighting their car, managing it, protecting it, learning its limits. In 2026, that experience might finally pay off. Not because they planned it, but because they've lived it. So here's the question for you. Did Ferrari accidentally prepare for the future of Formula One? Or are all teams starting from the same place? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And make sure you're following the All Motorsports Podcast on YouTube, Spotify and Apple so you don't miss what comes next. If this testing period is showing us anything, it's that this season might already be taking shape. I'm Nathan, All Motorsports Podcast. Speak to you next time.